Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Today on Weekend at the Movies, we bring you a special update for the podcasters of Film Fantasy League. I got to get that right because that's a mouthful to say. And kind of a special episode this week. I'm actually currently on vacation, so we're recording this ahead of time so you guys can have some content. Also updating all the listeners and the Film League members on what's going on with the podcasters of Film Fantasy League. And to help me do that, like we talked about during the draft, we're going to bring different members on each time we do one of these updates. So I have, first off, Jairo from the True Bromance podcast. Hello.
Hey, man. How's it going, brother?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's good right now because I'm on vacation.
Nice.
Looking into the future. And also from the Simplistic Reviews, DJ Valentine. Hello.
Boom! I'm like the John Madden of this thing, man. I'm just putting shit together. I'm a video game based on this shit. It's going to be awesome.
DJ, I was so glad that you were on the draft episode that we did for this because I feel like you and I were, well, and probably Michael Denniston from the Warhorse podcast. We were the ones that were most able to juggle everything and not get distracted.
Yeah, I studied for months on this podcast.
And you and I were managing probably about the same number of lists, so it was definitely an interesting thing. And that was, like we said during that record, that was a much more intense and fast-paced thing than I think any of us expected it to be.
Yeah, it was like we took that thing way more serious than I thought it was going to be. I had notes. I
definitely took it serious.
Phone calls.
Well, I know. JD had Brendan on the phone, like via, I don't know if he was texting him or what he was doing. They were communicating back and forth in between picks, and you were managing all your guys' list from Simplistic, and of course Movie Revolt Dan wasn't there, nor the Jairo and Barry, so I was trying to manage all theirs, and it was a lot of fun. But I'm glad that Jairo, you're here for this so that we can kind of talk about your madness a little bit.
My strategy.
There was some interesting strategies going on. I think everybody had a bit of a different strategy, especially you, Tim from First Time Watchers. Everybody had their way that they went, so we'll have to see how it all plays out. And because of Tim's method, obviously he basically hasn't participated yet, because that's what happens when you draft the entire roster of the Avengers and Star Wars, and neither one of those films has come out yet. So he's going to be that late rush here in December when he's racking up some points, like a bunch of you guys are right now for Furious 7. But basically how we're going to do this, guys, is we're going to just kind of take a quick overall update look at like the standings, which movies are doing good, bad, which actors are scoring us points and not scoring us points, maybe some surprises that we have, either good or bad surprises, and just kind of give an overall update at that. Then we're going to talk some business a little bit, some questions that have come up from different people. I've gotten emails from different people or direct messages on Twitter about this or that, so we'll try to straighten as much of that out as we can. And then we'll, in the last little bit, we'll just talk about some of the casting so far, because part of this whole process is you can gain points for being cast in things in the future that we didn't know about when we did the draft. So we're going to have to kind of break that down a little bit and let everybody know how that's going to work out throughout the year.
It feels like that category has a lot of room for a lot of points. Now, when I was going through my numbers, I was like, wow, I'm actually putting up, like, from what I think, I'm putting up some points by all these announcements that are coming out for all these people. Yeah, it's really surprising. I didn't even consider it at all when I was putting together my list, but now I'm like, oh, wow, cool. I'm getting all these points.
Yeah, I didn't consider it as much as I probably should have either, because I should have drafted a much younger group of people, because it seems like every casting is for the younger version of this or the younger version of that, and I have a bunch of old people on my team, so my bad on that. I guess one thing we can talk about is what we learned over this, so that'll be something that'll be interesting there. So start with DJ real quick, just to give your general thoughts before I kind of give an update. What's been your experience so far with this? What are you surprised about, learning about throughout this whole process?
I've learned that I'm rooting for films that I detest.
I never. So it's like real fantasy sports.
It's like real fantasy. Like I'm watching. Like it'd be like me popping on NFL Ticket or whatever, and I'm watching the Raiders versus the Rams. I'm like, I don't give a crap about either of those teams, but I'd have one of their players. So now I'm watching, or hoping 50 Shades of Grey does well just so I can get a Dakota Johnson point. I felt like I betrayed my own morals rooting for that happening. So yeah, you'll find yourself rooting for films that you would never in a million years want to succeed. So yeah, that's what
the biggest thing I've learned is how I can totally be terrible at something I came up with. Because you'll find out when we give the standings update here, but I apparently don't understand my own rules.
It's a long year. We got time.
And you know what? This is honestly, I want to give you kudos, man, for coming up with this. I mean, from looking at it, it's a huge endeavor because when we play fantasy sports, Yahoo or CBS Sports or whoever, they have already established structures. I mean, these things have been around forever. You came up with this fresh off the top of your head. And yeah, it's a work in progress. Like obviously, some of us like to bend the rules or jump through loopholes. But it's a really good structure so far. I like it so far. Yeah. And obviously, I'm sure there will be changes for year 2 and 3 and 4. But the same thing happens with fantasy sports and stuff like that. We adjust rules every year in my football league. So. Hell, man, I got to give you kudos for even coming up with this thing and putting it together, man, and running it this whole time, dude. I know what a pain in the ass is to be a football commissioner, so kudos to you, brother.
Yeah, I've been a commissioner for our fantasy baseball league for we started it my first year of college, so that's been going for I don't know, I don't want to date myself here, but 14, 15 years now. And I just got nominated as a commissioner the first year, and I've been ever since. And luckily, like you said, a lot of those systems are somewhat already set up, so you don't have to do a whole lot. This one I'm figuring out ways to make it easier for myself, because the first time I went to do updates, I was like, oh, good God, what did I get myself into? Just last night I came up with a easier way on Excel, some easier spreadsheets to help me out. So I got the thing is, for me, obviously I'm looking at all 12 teams, so I'm looking at 120 different actors. Ouch. And I guess my biggest fear is that I'm going to shortchange someone, like someone appeared in a movie that I just don't know that they appeared in it, or I missed, especially with the smaller films.
Well, you know what? That's up to the team owner, bro, to come with it.
Right.
Like, I went through my list today. I put it together as best I could, and I sent it to you like, hey, it's on me if I miss something or if we miss something. It's really...
And I'll be sending those updates out and the standings out, and then hopefully people can scan it over and see if I'm missing something. Because the hardest thing is, like I said, those smaller, real low-budget, limited releases, because some of those might slip through the cracks.
If you have like a secret cameo that you may not even know about, it comes out of nowhere. If you had like a Bill Murray Zombieland situation, sorry.
You got Diesel Ramos on your team.
Or one of these fringe guys that
or a surprise appearance by Mark Hamill that nobody knew about.
That's another one. so if you have one of those things happening, you could lose track real easy.
Yeah, but hopefully my new system's going to work even better, and I can get the standings updates out to you guys quicker. And I do got to give Dan a little bit credit, Movie Revolt Dan, from Talking in Circles and the Weekend at the Movies with me, because it was kind of a collaboration. We had thrown the idea back and forth at times. We even actually looked at different sites that let you set up fantasy leagues through them, and it just didn't seem like any of them were going to work for what we were trying to create, so we didn't go with any of those.
I see a business opportunity.
Right? But I just thought it would be fun. Like DJ said, it gives you interest in maybe some movies you wouldn't be interested in, and I think my biggest thing for doing this was also kind of as a group type thing and get us all together to do stuff and kind of shoot the shit with each other and banter back and forth. So the little community that we've built up. So man. And I was pleased at how many people were interested in doing it. So hopefully it'll work out and we won't anger anybody along the way. And like you said, we'll make some changes for year 2 and it'll be fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you for it, man.
It's got to be the longest fantasy ever. Baseball's pretty long. This is double baseball. So.
Yeah, pretty much. This is a year-long endeavor. So, but to give everybody a quick update right now at how the standings are, and I believe this is up to date. I did it last night, and then I had to adjust for some box office numbers from the weekend, obviously, with Furious 7. Mm-hmm. But currently, right now, if you're looking at what team is in first place, I'll give you the whole breakdown right now. Jairo, you are currently, as according to my points, and like I said, these are ever-evolving things, and we'll talk about how much they can adjust, but right now you're sitting in first place with 17 total points on my list.
What? I have like 29 written down on my list.
Remember, we haven't added any of the casting points yet.
We got to discuss it.
We haven't added any casting points yet. And one thing another thing that you always, that I guess I didn't know as much is how often some of this stuff changes. Now, it's pretty easy with box office. that's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Like it either makes it or it doesn't, and those numbers are readily available.
Mm-hmm.
But the Rotten Tomatoes stuff changes so much. Like I have movies dipping down and then bouncing back up after a month, and then it's even some of the movies that came out back in like January, they were steady for like 2 or 3 months, and then all of a sudden you'll see like a spike or a drop, but based on whoever submits their reviews for those things. So a lot of this is ever changing. But right now, Jairo, you are in first place. Awesome. According to my points. Right behind you would be the War Machine versus War Horse entry from Michael Deniston. According to my points, he's only 1 behind you. And then, we'll see, what we wanted to do here is we wanted to bring the best of the best and the worst of the worst, because DJ, you're in third.
Okay, all right.
So we got first place and third place represented.
I'm playing the long con. I'm going for the awards, so I'm playing the long con.
I hope that's what I'm doing. So Jairo is at 17 points. Michael is at 16. DJ, you're at 11. Right behind you is Whit from Whit's Movie Reviews at 10. Then we got Barry from True Bromance at 5.
Ouch.
Tim, first time watchers, he does have 2 points thanks to that Mark Hamill cameo. So he is actually on the board.
Give him
prior
a couple
to
weeks, he'll be fine.
He'll be soaring up to the top. Matt from Simplistic Reviews has 1 point, and that's the end of the positives. Then we got Movie Revolt Dan with -1.
Ouch. Matt
Ridley at -1. Justin from Simplistic Reviews at -2. JD from In Session, -4.
Ooh.
And like I said, the best of the best and the worst of the worst. I'm pulling up in last place right now with -9.
Oh, boy. What the hell happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. Going over some of the movies, though, that are the best ones so far to have an actor. Part of, obviously, the best movie. Anybody have a guess?
The best.
Furious?
Furious 7, probably.
Furious 7 is the biggest point gainer right now.
Two guys on there. Actually, a lady and a gentleman.
Yeah, who don't have
you had an actor,
one line.
If you had an actor or a director involved with Furious 7, then that gained you, just for that movie alone, gained the person 7 points.
I had the star. I had the freaking star.
It doesn't matter. Iggy Ziggy Azalea, baby, and I have Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, Kurt Russell. Well, Kurt Russell's he's in the movie. That counts.
Yeah, and
the points you didn't expect for Furious 7 is it's at just past 250 million. Yeah. So you get the 4 box office points so far, and obviously a point for them appearing. I didn't necessarily expect the 82% Rotten Tomato score for Furious 7.
Well, Vinny did say he was going to win an Oscar, so maybe this is the first
shooting for that, dude. Look at that. It's going to help me out even more.
Hey, who's the lead, baby? Who's the lead?
That'd be the triple crown right there, the budget, the Rotten Tomatoes, and the Oscar. So
that'd be great.
The next best movie would be Cinderella. If you had somebody involved in Cinderella, that's a 5-point movie.
I do.
Because it did make a little bit of money, and it is also 84% Rotten Tomatoes. Nobody went with an actor for SpongeBob. That would have been a good movie to have somebody involved with. Who knew that?
Who is in SpongeBob? I don't
even. Banderas is the only one I know.
Yeah, it's mostly voice actors and stuff like that, so not a lot of people would select that. And then DJ, your early claim to fame was your entry in the Paddington movie.
Yes, Ben Whishaw just stole it. I forgot. You told me that he was in the movie. I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's in that movie. Awesome, great.
Who did you draft?
Ben Whishaw, Q from the new Bond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he was the voice of Paddington the Bear. So gained DJ some points there. Other movies that give you positive: McFarland USA. Jairo, you said you saw that one.
I love that movie. It's near the top for me for the year.
Yeah, so that one would have got somebody some points. Black Sea, It Follows, because it's currently at a 95% Rotten Tomatoes. Some of these nobody has people in, but these are the other movies that would get you some points. Kingsman, The Secret Service, obviously that passed 100 million, and Insurgent also passed 100 million. So even though it didn't get great reviews, it still is a point earner for people in the league.
Did War Machine draft Samuel Jackson? Is that why?
Yes.
That's what I figured. Because if you have Sam, you're going to probably get him, and then you're going to get Avengers on top of that.
Right.
I want to say I got 2 guys in the Kingsman, don't I? I got Lee Holland and Diesel Ramos.
God, Diesel freaking Ramos. This freaking guy's going to haunt my dreams.
Lee Holland's been in 2 movies right now, and Diesel Ramos has been in 3. So
they're busy guys, man.
Yeah, they're so busy standing back behind the actual actors.
Then there's a lot of movies in there that are kind of just break-even movies that are either 1 pointer, 0, or -1, and the worst movies to have people involved with. Black Hat gets you a -2 gain, and then
Mordecai, where's Mordecai at?
Mordecai, nobody drafted in. That would have been the bottom.
Nobody in the movie got drafted.
There's actually a 5-way tie for the worst movie you could have somebody in. Mordecai, The Gunman, Unfinished Business, Seventh Son, and Jupiter Ascending.
You think somebody would have drafted Idris Elba or Javier Bardem or something?
I have somebody in The Gunman, but I'm not sure.
It's one of your
D'Onofrio,
extra.
maybe?
Oh, yeah, you have him, too.
Yeah.
But once again, let me name those. Jupiter Ascending, Seventh Son, Unfinished Business, The Gunman, and Mordecai. I have somebody in The Gunman, Seventh Son, and Jupiter Ascending. So.
That'll do it. Do you have Eddie Redmayne?
No, I don't.
Just like this every time he talks.
I had Julianne Moore, who for some reason decided to be in The Seventh Son.
Well, 2 years ago, though. 2 years ago.
I had Sean Bean, who made an appearance, obviously, in Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
And then my number one draft pick, Idris Elba. I didn't know Gunman was going to be so
bad.
Looking at that cast from the get-go, I would have swore that was going to be a good movie. I mean, we decided to review it for the show way in advance because, it had such a stellar cast.
Yeah.
And, wow, was that bad. And I've seen it, and the movie is not good.
I like that. Is it really that awful? I just hear bad things.
The last third to a half of that movie just destroys it.
Oh, man.
There's a bull. It's just... I'm not even going to get into it because that's spoiler territory, but it's... I would say
it gets so ridiculously unbelievable towards the last 45 minutes.
The beginning was okay. I mean, kind of the setup was all right, and
it could have gone somewhere. It could have had potential, and it just didn't.
They're trying to cash in on the Jerry Action racket that Liam Neeson has.
I'll tell you what, though, Sean Penn looking, wow, man, I want whatever he's taking.
If it wasn't for his face, he looked like a 27-year-old.
Well, he's banging Charlize Theron right now, so he's got to keep it up. So pump them weights.
So one thing that we're going to have to probably get into here is a question about before we get into the Diesel Ramos question.
Stop saying his name.
The first question is about budget, because I have a question to kind of throw out to you guys to get your opinion on, and then obviously those listening and the other members of the league can weigh in after they hear this episode. But
the league, we sound so official, like superheroes. The league,
the league can chime in and give their thoughts. But when it comes to budget, my question is, it's set up like this as we set up the rules. If you make $100 million, you get a point, et cetera, all the way up to $400 million. That's simple. Then the other category was negative points if it makes less than the budget, or if it makes less than half the budget was a stronger negative, and you would either get -2 or -3 depending on how much you tanked as far as money goes. Because I wanted there to be a penalty, if you're picking people that are in bad movies, in flops, etc. My question is, there's a lot of smaller movies that I don't know how fair it is to judge based on that. And what I'm talking about is stuff like The Last 5 Years with Anna Kendrick, stuff like Maps to the Stars, stuff like Serena.
Indie movies you're talking about?
And those types of movies that kind of don't even have a stay at the theater. They're either very limited release or they kind of do the direct to video / on-demand route. Because technically, if my information's correct, even like The Last 5 Years has a $2 million budget, but at the box office, it's only made like $100,000.
It's limited release, right?
So should that really count as a -3 for making less than?
Has it even come out into the theater, or is it going to come out into the theater?
Yeah. If it doesn't, I think if it has a limited release, you should probably. This is me just throwing shit out there. Maybe just limit it to Rotten Tomatoes score. Almost.
But then we get into slippery territory where you're making judgment calls rather than black and white.
Well, maybe pick a cap number, your budget has to be over this amount or something.
Right. But in reality, I mean, just like everything else, we have to kind of go by what we drafted off of. You know what I mean? It's hard to kind of change midstream. I understand.
No, I agree with you. In the future, I'm saying.
I agree. In the future, for sure, we would have a low cap, maybe, like you're saying.
Right, or if something doesn't get a major release, the budget numbers don't necessarily count.
Or could we include the VOD numbers if it doesn't get a major release?
Right, because I guess my only thought is it if you're looking at I think maybe
Black
JD.
Sea. What is Black? Does Black Sea get a wide release with Jude Law?
No, it didn't.
Oh, see, I don't even know.
It went VOD.
Right, so the movies that would right now, the movies in question would be Black Sea. We have. Hold on one second.
If Diesel Ramos is not in it, Just take points
Maps
away.
to the Stars, The Last 5 Years, Serena with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence. Those are some of the ones that come right off the top of my head. But, like JD, he's in second to last place, but that's really only because he has Jennifer Lawrence, who's in Serena.
Yeah.
And technically, that movie only made $1 million at theater because it was such a limited release. Mm-hmm. But its budget is higher than that. So he's getting -3 points for Jennifer Lawrence from Serena. I don't necessarily know how fair that is.
Yeah, because those movies aren't even made to make money. Those movies are made to get awards. That's why I'm saying maybe limit it to, or figure out a way just to limit movies like that to Rotten Tomatoes scores or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can still get a point for appearing in it. You can still get the Oscar stuff. You could still get the the awards things, the Rotten Tomatoes. I just don't know how fair it is to continue to keep track of the budget numbers for things that don't actually
maybe we just in reality, maybe we just do away with the negative points on the budget and just stick to the positive points because, like you're saying, I mean, those films are not going to make a lot, but they're also not going to lose a lot. You know what I mean? It's just
right.
So maybe we just do away altogether with the negative, like the less than budget or the less than half budget piece. I mean that pretty much evens the playing field right there for those like smaller movies, because he'll get points, like you said, for appearances and all that stuff, but he's not going to get any points for money, like making money.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, like something like The Last 5 Years, which, like I said, only makes $100,000 on a $2 million budget, is much different than Jupiter Ascending, which only made $47 million on a $176 million budget.
Yeah.
That movie stunk.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's fair to give them both the same negative points.
Right. And I agree with that too. Maybe next year we just do away with the negatives. I don't know. I mean,
so that'll be something for everybody to weigh in on, and something that we'll have to decide, because, like I said, it could be skewing things a little bit for some of those people that are in those limited release films. And I will have to do some extra research too to make sure my budget numbers are correct. Box Office Mojo gives budgets on most films, but there's some that it doesn't.
IMDb does as well for some.
Wiki
and
does
some not.
too. I don't know how I don't know how accurate Wiki is, but they do budgets as well.
So if and I'll put these numbers out there in some form so people can review them, and if they find different, if their research on their own actors and their own movies that they're involved with show different numbers, then obviously we can adjust going forward. But like I said, the positives on the box office is pretty easy to take. You make 100, you make 150 million. That's what it is. And so far, Furious 7 is the only movie that's eclipsed the 250 million mark. We do have 3 films that have eclipsed 150. That would be 50 Shades of Grey, Cinderella, and SpongeBob. Jesus. And then the ones that have
Where's Kingsman? Where's Kingsman on that list?
It's like
Kingsman is at 123.
Okay.
So Kingsman, Insurgent, and Home all eclipsed 100 million so far.
Insurgent made 100 million? Why?
10 so far.
Oh my God.
I'm hoping for Kingsman to get that last little 20 million so I can get that one more point for my guys.
Right?
I'm rooting for that movie in general. That's me separating myself from the league. I love that movie, so I'm kind of like, give it more money. But then,
right. The other, I don't think there's anything else that's real close right now to eclipsing anything. Taken 3 is not going to make enough money. It's at 89 million. I'm pretty sure it's done making money.
Yeah.
So
whatever. For the end of time.
As far as Rotten Tomatoes, that'll be something else that we'll kind of adjust here going forward. But like I said, that's something that changes every week, every day. Those numbers can go up and can go down. Mm-hmm. And
are we going to discuss the certified piece?
Yeah, well, and I will have to look back too to see the actual certified, because that's what it says in the rules, that they're certified rotten or they're certified fresh. Now, when I wrote that, I assumed that those were both things, and then when I went to do my first update, I couldn't find anything that said certified rotten, so I'm like, maybe I just made that up and that's not a real thing that exists.
Yeah.
So for a while, I was just counting anything that was under 25% as certified rotten, but we will have to look back, because, Jairo, you're saying that they do actually have a certified rotten label.
It's like a little stamp, like a little golden seal that they apply to the tomato or the splat, and that's how I did my list.
So some of that stuff will be adjusted accordingly, because right now anything that's under 25% was getting negative points, so it will adjust those that don't have the actual official stamp.
Maybe my 50 Shades of Grey will get let's get off of that list, maybe.
Because it's at 25% right now.
Yeah, that's what I know. It's a horrible movie. I knew it, and I knew it was going to be like a trade-off where I was going to get the money from the budget thing, but I was going to get slammed by the reviews. And
the best Rotten Tomato scores from the movie so far this year, It Follows is at 95%. Paddington is at 98%.
Yes.
While We're Young, which is just hitting things, I think, is 86%. We have Cinderella 84, Furious 7 82, Black Sea 81, Danny Collins 77, SpongeBob 78, and McFarland USA 79. So those are the best Rotten Tomatoes movies so far.
Fast is going to come down probably to like low 70s at the end of this run.
We can only hope.
Yeah, like if I look at Furious 7, it's certified. It has the little seal. But then you look at something like Kingsman, it doesn't have the little seal.
Right. And that one's at 74, so that one wouldn't have been above the target. Usually once something hits 75, it gets the seal, but it's not a for sure thing. It's not 100% of the time.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, like something like Danny Collins right now, which is at 77%. As soon as the other thing is if it has enough reviews. Some of that stuff, if it doesn't have enough reviews yet, could have a high score, but it's not certified yet.
Okay.
So usually once they have the X number of reviews and it's over 75%, that's usually when it gets certified. But like I said, that's not 100% of the time.
Gotcha.
And the worst reviewed movies so far, we'll just give you the ones that are under 15% here. Taken 3 at 10%. Whew. The Lazarus Effect at 14. Boy Next Door at 11.
Oh my God, a great movie. Great film.
The Seventh Son at 13. The Gunman at 14, Mordecai at 13, and Unfinished Business at 11. So those are your worst Rotten Tomatoes movies.
Hey, I guess you want to interject here 1 second. I'm actually on the Rotten Tomatoes site, and I scroll down to the bottom and has a definition of what a certified fresh pick is.
Read it for us. Read it for us.
It says, movies and TV shows are certified fresh with a steady tomato meter of 75% or higher after a set amount of reviews, which is 40 for movies, 20 for TV shows, including 5 reviews from top critics. So there you go. That's what makes it certified.
That's the exception, is if it doesn't have that 5 from the top critics, probably.
Exactly.
So I was almost right with that.
There you go.
Nice. All right. So any surprises so far, DJ, on which movies have done well or not so well, either from a Rotten Tomatoes or from a budget standpoint? Like, what's the biggest surprise this year so far for you?
Hell, you just blew me away with that Insurgent made that much money crap. I'm happy for Kingsman because I have nobody on that in that movie, but I was so happy because I love that movie a lot. Insurgent making money is crazy. Paddington being actually good is
That's stunning.
It was like wow. And I heard it was like a really good movie, and like I'll never watch it probably, but I hear it's good. So yeah, a lot of those movies. 50 Shades of Grey was the most predictable movie of the year. I knew it was going to make money, and everybody who read the book was going to see it, and then after that, nobody else was going to see it, and that was the end.
Yeah,
that's a pretty dramatic drop off for a box office performance there.
Well,
compared to Furious 7. I got to say, Furious 7 is surprising me somewhat. I knew it was going to make money. I don't
Let's
know
be
if
honest,
I knew it was
man. I mean, Paul Walker passing away has
the Dark
really
Knight thing
propelled that. I mean, the movie, it was going to make a lot of money. I mean,
well, yeah, I thought it would make this much money. I didn't know it was going to do it in 10 days.
And
I kind of had a
from
feeling.
what the word of mouth is going and from the Rotten Tomato stuff, it stands to keep going. I mean, you could see it 300, 350, and so forth.
It's going to run till Avengers comes out. It's going to run hard.
Right. That'll be the death blow for it, probably.
When does Avengers come out?
May 1st.
May 1st or May 2nd?
Yeah, I think there's some limited releases like on April 30th or something like that. So,
sweet, I got a few weeks.
Yeah, that was we did our box office prediction at the beginning of the year, Movie Revolt, Dan, myself, and Matt Fridley, and I had Furious 7 coming in 8th overall for the year, and the other guys had it coming in 7th. I think we all kind of didn't give it enough credit, so we'll have to wait and see. Jairo, any surprises for you so far at the theaters this year as to what worked and what didn't work?
Yeah, Gunman obviously is one we talked about a little bit earlier, where I could have sworn that was going to be a big hit with the cast that's in there. I mean, Bardem is a favorite of mine. Sean Penn is in there. Idris Elba's in there. Cool premise.
Is it fair to say Idris Elba is in that movie? Is that fair?
I think I saw him. It could have been DJ Valentine walking by.
The knee. No.
I'm getting massive negative points for him appearing in a movie that he did.
I'm the owner. The owner's that's like the owner scored a touchdown. Come on, let me get some of those points.
Idris Elba doesn't even need to be in that movie though.
Not at all.
Dang it.
Not at all. He's there for he's there to have his name on the marquee, and that's about it.
And lose me points. That's what he was there for.
I'm very shocked at Cinderella. I know it's a kids movie, and I know kids movies typically do well, but that movie, as far as also the reviews and that stuff, I'm very surprised at that. But all in all, I mean, things are going as planned for me.
He's in first place, so things are going as planned. You stole mine. Gunman.
I mean, I went with a blast tactic where pick guys or gals who are in as many films as humanly possible. So
you have the most appearances so far out of anybody. You've had 11 movie appearances,
and it's going to keep climbing because I mean I've got guys in Star Wars, I've got guys in Avengers, I've got all kinds of nonsense coming up. So.
Yeah, the closest to you is myself and Barry, which each have 6 movie appearances, but you're at 11. So,
hey, you can't score a point if you don't swing the bat, so we got to get at bats up there. So
you got to be in the movie first.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think like I said, you stole mine. Gunman's probably one of my biggest surprises on the negative aspect of things, and if it was coming to the positive aspect, surprised, like you said, at the reviews for Cinderella. The money for Cinderella. Also surprised that McFarland USA went over as well.
Love that movie.
As it did.
Did it get his money back in the theater?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I know it got
like doubled it up if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, its budget. McFarland USA had a budget of 17 and it made 42.
Oh, good for them.
It's a really good film. If you guys haven't seen it, it's Disney or whoever. I think it's Disney, right? I mean, it's Costner doing sports.
Yeah.
It's got a great story, and it has one of the best "Where Are They Now" sequences at the end of a film that you'll ever see.
Nice. Sandlot style?
Blind spot. I've never seen The Sandlot.
What?
Oh,
you're fired.
Sorry.
But no, McFarland USA just surprised me because, with sports movies, a lot of times those are overly cheesy.
Yeah.
Especially if Kevin Costner's involved.
How dare you?
He's not involved in a lot of sports movies, but Draft Day, stuff like that.
Hey, Dad, you want to play catch? Come on, man.
Yeah, he's in Field of Dreams. He's
no, I'm back in the day. Great.
What are we talking about?
He does sports movies for the love of the game.
Oh yeah, come on.
It started. I'm talking about more recent times. I'm not talking about the old classics.
He was just in Draft Day.
You like that?
It's okay. It's not bad.
Okay, so let's get to one of the other big debates that we need to have. More so maybe for next year than it is for this year, but I sent this out to the league, and I got a lot of email responses, probably like 12 in less than 2 hours. And just for the record, I'm not trying to change rules midstream. I'm not even trying to say that these people shouldn't count. My question was, and we're talking about credited versus uncredited actors. My point is, if somebody's in a movie, they should get the points. That's how the rules are up. That's how it's supposed to be for this year. I support that 100%. Mm-hmm. My only question, and this is from someone who, I work with a voice acting website, and we have to spend a lot of time trying to verify credits. And my question was not if these guys should get points if they appear or not. It's how can I prove that the person appears or not? And a couple of these guys, because like Diesel Ramos for you, Matt Fridley has a guy named Joe Crest.
Who are these people?
My number one pick is Lee Holland overall.
Right. Sounds like names that like spies use when they're checking into hotel rooms. Yeah.
My problem is not that they're extras. My problem is not that they're unnamed characters. My problem is, do we just trust IMDb 100% that if it lists somebody as an uncredited character that they did appear in that film?
Well, IMDb is the gold standard. I mean, isn't it? It's what we all go to.
Has mistakes wrong than you would imagine, actually.
Way wronger than you think.
Yeah, it's not Wikipedia wrong, but like I said, this is just from my experience with the voice acting website, because we've spoken with people that are like, no, IMDb has it wrong. I'm not in that. I'm not in this.
Wow,
blah,
okay.
blah, blah.
Their trivia section is ridiculously inaccurate.
Right, and it's a user-submitted thing. People can submit stuff. I mean, it's not like it does have some regulations, so it's not as easy. You can't just go on like Wikipedia and change the whole page for Wizard of Oz to whatever you want. But
the Jizzard of Oz.
Somebody did that for like April Fool's Day. Somebody changed the whole page. But for IMDb, it is user-submitted, so I have seen at times where there's uncredited roles that are just ridiculously wrong. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem. If somebody appeared in the movie, I'm all for giving them points. But I think obviously going forward, I don't know if we have to make the rule that it has to be at least credited. I don't care if it's an extra.
I would say, yeah. I mean, I'd say I've always taken IMDb, it's the best thing that we have. It's the best tool that we have, I guess. Mm-hmm. But if there is so much disparity, I would say, yeah, let's do credited. It has to be,
because then you can see a name and a credit, and you don't need to identify the person. Like, obviously, if Tom Cruise has a cameo, I don't care if he's credited or not. We all know it's Tom Cruise, right, or whoever. Some of these other guys, if they're playing like like for example, your Diesel Ramos, I believe, is going to be playing a stormtrooper in Star Wars.
Oh, sure, why not?
or whatever. Let's say that that's the scenario. There's no way for any of us to prove that. You know what I mean? Because he's in a get-up.
Right.
He's in a mask on. It's not like, like you said with Bill Murray showing up in Zombieland. I don't want to see the movie, I guess, so spoiler alert. Yeah. But like Mark Hamill showing up in Kingsman, we all know that's Mark Hamill. But if Joe Blow shows up in a mask and a costume in an episode or in a movie, who's to say that that's him or that's not him?
Right. And so just here's a good example. Diesel Ramos is going to be in Avengers: Age of Ultron. His role is masked Asgardian, so he has a mask on. So there's no way.
The point is nobody can prove that's him or not.
Right.
He's credited. If his name's in the credit, then that's proof.
Right.
If it's not credited and he's in a mask, I don't know. You know what I mean? So maybe going forward in next year, we'll just at least put the caveat on there that they have to be credited in the end credits.
I'm all for it.
So, but no, I was not trying to rewrite the rules mid-season. I just wanted to have the discussion while we had some people that we can hash it out. DJ, any thoughts on that?
I'm trying to rewrite the rules. There's no way Diego Ramos, whatever his damn name is, should be getting all these points.
Should have thought of it first, brother.
This is like a fifth bench player going to the Pro Bowl over like Peyton Manning. It doesn't make any sense.
The question is, will the extras beat out the Avengers Star Wars team?
I think it might.
The thing is, my extras are in Avengers and Star Wars.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, getting the 1 point versus, let's say if you're Furious 7 right now, got 7 points, but that's like Tim having 6 people on Furious 7.
Yeah.
He's going to get like 45 to 50 points for Star Wars and for Avengers, so that's going to be interesting to see if that strategy holds up. Now, obviously, awards are going to play a part of it, and there will be that catch-up phase where we, all the box office and all that stuff will be done, after the first part of January when we get all those numbers in for the most part, and then it'll be kind of a wait and see. We'll know where everybody stands, and it'll become down to, the award season and who's going to be able to bank the most points on those.
I'm hoping to combat that Tim strategy because I'm looking down my list, and I think almost every single one is in Avengers and Star Wars. Like, they just happen to be kind of in the background, maybe.
Once I knew Jairo was doing that, I was like, well, I have to just... Right after we read Diego Ramos, my whole...
How about you give the man some respect? His name is Diesel.
Whatever.
Hard to get
Diego, isn't he from the Dora the Explorer? Whatever his damn name is. I was like, I changed my strategy to I'm going to go for awards because there's no way Dim Sung Ramos is going to get an Oscar. So I just go with the actors that I think they can.
Oh, dude, that's great. And something else that we wanted to talk about because there's another aspect besides awards, besides box office that we kind of mentioned briefly in the opening, and that's having to do with castings.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I thought would be entertaining for us, because when I was setting this up, I didn't want it to be just like a one horse pony type thing or a one horse race where you just kind of go with all the awards or you just go all box office. So I was trying to get diverse. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that I thought would be interesting for us, because a lot of us do talk about news on our podcast, or we talk about some headlines here and there, at times, would be to kind of keep track of people that are in demand. So it's not just about people that are making money this year, but also the actors that are in the most demand in Hollywood. Okay. And one way I thought about doing that was giving points to people that, that ultimate casting. Like, think of right now, they're trying to come up with who's going to be, the next Spider-Man. So if you have someone on your team that gets cast as Spider-Man, I thought there should be some type of bonus for you.
I almost made a free agent move because...
For those producers and directors that are listening, I'd like you to cast Mr. Diesel Ramos as Spider-Man.
Producers, do not listen to Jairo. Do not cast this man anymore.
Might I recommend Sienna Miller or Iggy Azalea as Mary Jane?
No, and Lee Holland.
Lee Holland is a male, sir.
Oh, sorry.
When that Spider-Man news dropped, I almost made a free agent pickup for Logan Lerman because I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna cast Spider-Man. I think Logan Lerman's a front runner." And I nobody trusted it. And then I realized they're gonna do the high school thing, and I kind of thankfully I didn't make the pick or whatever. But yeah, you're right about the waiting to see if somebody's gonna get cast in something is all I'm kind of doing right now.
So, like a Indiana Jones, like a Han Solo, like a Spider-Man. Those are some of the bigger ones that I'm thinking about right now. So let's talk about the whole casting thing, because this is another one where there's going to be some gray area. It's not just a black or white category. Mm-hmm. And how I set it up in the rules, and since we're going by the rules with everything, how I set it up in the initial rules that I sent out, this is how it reads. Official confirmation during 2015 of said actor being cast in what the panel deems as a major casting for 2016 or beyond, in which the actor or actress was not previously known to be cast for when we did the draft.
Okay.
So there's a couple parts to that. We can't give credit for being cast in a film that's happening later on that we already knew about when the draft happened.
Okay.
So, if we already knew, whatchamacallit was going to be, whatever, Aquaman, Jason Momoa was going to be Aquaman, and somebody drafted him, you don't get points for that.
Okay.
And the other thing is, of course, every actor on all 120 actors are going to be cast in things that come out after 2015.
Yeah.
Nobody's, outside of like untimely death or retirement.
Yeah. Iggy Azalea may never work again.
Right. They're all going to be in, and I think DJ has a hit out on Diesel Ramos.
I'm going to kill him. He's dead. He's a dead man.
Have you seen
He's sending the mouse after him.
He's sending the mouse after Diego Ramos.
So I didn't want it to just be, you just get points for any movie you're in. So they're all going to be in movies. So we had to do some type of separation. It has to be some type of, major casting. It has to be something that's newsworthy, something that's noteworthy, or something like that. So that's where the gray area comes in, because obviously it's going to have to be determined by us as a league, what is major castings and what are just that person's appearing in a movie. So that's something that we have to have a bit of a discussion on now. It's up to each team to come up with potential point earners there. Mm-hmm. And this is something, obviously, that's going to take some work on their part. And if they're sleeping and if they don't want to nominate any of their people for a casting point opportunity, then that's on them. There's not going to be a limit, though. So if the casting happened like 2 weeks ago, they can still bring it up in,
for the year, or at least till the end of the tournament, I guess.
Right. So they can still bring it up, in November and say, hey, I forgot about that this person was, cast as this person, and we can have our vote then. A couple of them, for example, that we got to bring up now, because I have a whole slew of them that Tim sent me, actually, from the first-time watchers. So this will kind of give us an example of some kind of things that either count or don't count, and hopefully people that are listening will get an idea of how to kind of compile this for their own team. And I know, Jairo, you have some that are already jotted down, too, so we can kind of talk about that.
And by the way, anything that Tim puts in, I'm voting no.
All right. So here's an example of something that wouldn't count. All right. He has Scarlett Johansson being in The Jungle Book in 2016.
Wasn't she already cast?
Yeah. So that was a casting that happened prior to the draft. That's been cast for probably a year and a half. So something like that would not count. Now, something, DJ, I think you brought up via Twitter, what happens with sequels of stuff that's already going on. So I think your example was Tom Hardy signing on to do 3 more Mad Max films.
Which we did not know before the draft.
It just happened, yeah. I would say that's good.
So the question there is, he's already been cast as the character, but we didn't know about any of these future films.
Right. I would say that's good to go. From my vote, I think that's okay, because he had no contract signed. Nobody even knew that they were going to do sequels.
I thought that was going to be a one and done when I first heard.
And that's something too that can kind of build up excitement too for a movie, hoping it does well if your actor's in it. Definitely. Because if there's a potential for
I vote just films. Let that ride, man. I mean, I think that's good. Especially if it makes the headlines and news, because that's coming out and it's being like promoted through podcasts, websites, articles, all that stuff.
Now, what are we talking? What are we talking about if they're bigger news? Because I've had my fingers crossed, even though it goes against my principles, because I have Chris Pratt on my team. If he gets cast as Indiana Jones, which is a very high possibility, are we going to put that as more points than like if we have a Scarlett Johansson Ghost in the Shell type of casting? Or
well, that was going to be my question too. Is
no.
Because Indiana Jones is a big freaking deal, dude. That's a big deal.
I got that, but then we start into what is our opinions and stuff like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we're starting to factor in way too much opinion into it, and that's where I would vote no. Like it has to be like the way Kevin set it up already. Like what is it, 2 points or something like that?
Right,
that's
2
great.
points.
It's just a solid thing. Hey, you got cast, great. We don't know how that shit's gonna turn out. And when I say Indiana Jones, we could have this argument. Indiana Jones is bigger casting than Spider-Man, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would agree with that because he's more.
Okay, well, you're not supposed to agree with me. That I was
well, there could be something too.
I disagree with you, Jairo. I disagree completely.
There could be something we set up too for a future year where we have levels. You know, maybe there's 2 different levels or 3 different levels. You know, that we can determine it's a minor casting, it's a major casting, or it's ridiculously huge.
Can I
type.
throw out another one?
Yeah.
I got 2 more.
Well, before you get those though, real quick on the subject of Tom Hardy signing on for 3 more Mad Max films. So then the question becomes, does he get casting points for all 3 of those movies?
Well, it happened I'd say for the one bit of news, because it was all at once.
I would say too, because for some of these things, like if somebody that's involved in the Marvel or the DC world sign a 3-film contract or something,
picture deal like Sebastian Stan, I wouldn't give him 9 times 2. I just give him the 2 points for the big news of him being cast. Yeah,
that's kind of how I felt too. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there for clarification. But go ahead, DJ. What was some of your other ones?
Well, Pratt was cast in Magnificent 7. I don't know if that counts. And we just got news. This is the sequel thing again. I got Garrett Hedlund, and he just got cast for the Tron sequel. So I don't know if that counts as well.
Yeah, I mean,
those are ones that I would think would be legit. Like I said, all these ones are.
Yeah.
And anything that's worthy of being put on the list, we'll put on the list, and I think everybody can vote.
I'm kind of circling the bigger one. Like a Tron movie is a big deal. Magnificent 7 movie may not be as big of a deal, though it is a freaking a remake of a classic. Is the only reason I kind of brought it up, and it's Chris Pratt, so he's essentially
one thing I might introduce, I'd throw it out there for the league to vote on is actors who are in producer roles, like maybe giving them an extra point if they're
Cruise.
Like you're talking about Marky Mark, he's a big producer. DiCaprio produces a lot of stuff. One that I want to talk about is Anthony Mackie. When he's doing the Jesse Owens thing, he's going to star and produce. He's not directing, but he's going to star and produce.
Right. And that's something that we'd have to probably consider too.
It'd be interesting. Another little wrinkle to add.
Because right now you do get double points if you act and direct.
Nice.
If you're an actor and you do direct, because there is a point for directing a movie, even though it's made for our directors.
There's not a lot in there,
still
though.
In the system. So, those people that you do have that are going to be a director of a film for the first time this year will get you an extra point if they're on a team. Some other ones that Tim has on his list, and this is another question that I have, because he's got every single one of his Avengers people, and then he has casting points for basically all of the future, like Captain America Civil War.
Get the fuck out of here. That's in their contract. When you sign up with the mouse, they make you sign like a 9-picture deal. Get out of here with that.
Automatically a 9-picture deal. It's not. That's why Joaquin Phoenix didn't sign for Doctor Strange, because he didn't want to sign that long ass deal. And they got Cumberbatch instead.
Right, so he's got Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Scarlett Johansson for Captain America: The Civil War.
Get out of here!
No.
That was done a long time ago. That was pre-draft.
That was done prior to the Avengers, the first.
Yeah, dude, get out of here with that. Jeez.
So I think the main thing that he was missing was probably the time frame here, because he's also got. Let's see, I don't know when these other ones came out. He's got Harrison Ford for Blade Runner.
No, I don't know when that happened.
New.
That's
new? I think that counts. I think that counts. I'm not sure. I have to double check it.
So based on the time that we'd have to do research on,
when was the article posted? Like when was the breaking?
When was it official? Because they've been rumoring that for years, but it wasn't official until recently, I think.
Yeah, so I think that one does count. I'd have to look at the time, but I'm pretty sure that one counts. And then he has Scarlett Johansson for Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. And then he has Robert Downey Jr. for Sherlock Holmes 3.
That's been they've been that's been whittling around in a circle for years. So I don't know. I'd leave that up to you guys.
Okay, so the Blade Runner thing, I'm looking at it. Harrison Ford to star in Blade Runner 2. Article in Forbes, December 1st, 2014.
So when was our draft again? I forgot.
February.
Yeah.
So unless he can, if there's an article that's dated that far back, then I guess if that's an official announcement,
it's from Forbes. It says, I'm just looking at the article. So
right. So I mean, if it doesn't fit in that time frame, that's something. So we'll basically have to collect everybody's names that they're throwing out there, and we'll put it on a sheet there,
right? And
we'll send it out to everybody, and we can have the votes go, and if someone wants to defend their choices, and
quit cheating too.
I had one that was interesting for mine because I don't have a lot of people that are specifically cast yet. I have one that I'm hoping for, and that would be Idris Elba as the villain in the next Star Trek film.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I was like, when we were talking, yeah.
Oh, is that a possibility? That'd be kind of cool.
That hasn't been confirmed.
He's in talks right now, which is
so I just have to hope that it gets confirmed at some point during the year.
I'm Chris. You're Pratt. You're doing what I'm doing with Chris Pratt for Indiana Jones. I'm just waiting to see if it happens. I think they're waiting for Jurassic World. If he kills Jurassic World, don't be surprised in like a week they'll say, "Oh yeah, Chris Pratt's Indiana Jones."
Right. Yeah, this is where Lee Holland and Diesel Ramos hurt me because nobody's announcing them.
Diego Dim Sum Ramos.
DJ Valentine
He's been cast
Ramos.
as a stormtrooper in the next Star Wars film.
To be Nazi number 3 in Indiana Jones remake.
He did such a good job as the masked Asgardian that
he's DJ Valentine Ramos is so good that he has to be cast as Spider-Man.
David Arquette Ramos is going to be
nice. My other question when it came to casting, because it's not necessarily something I considered too much when I was setting it up, because it was mainly just for actors, but are we considering directors that get signed on for big projects? And
I see. Okay, I'm with that as well, because it's an entire column, so why not? I mean, because it's news. People
jump at the opportunity for a big director, like the Rian Johnson Star Wars thing, or the what was the Neil Blomkamp thing? If you had Neil Blomkamp on your team and he got cast to do Alien,
that's a big point. Yeah,
that would have been a big one for me. I think that definitely does count. And I had 2 questions for you guys.
I got
to get
2
your
guys.
One
guy, he got 2 new movies come out, signed on to. My guy, Mr. Colin Trevorrow. He announced one like 2 weeks ago, and they announced one today, or like a few days ago.
That sucks for me because I have Sam Mendes, and if he's not doing Bond movies, he's doing plays. So it's like shit. He doesn't. He's only doing Bond movies and plays. That's it. That's all he's done.
Well, for one of mine, I haven't done the research yet on this one to see if its date, if the date fits into our time frame. I don't know how long ago Steven Spielberg was confirmed to be the director for the next Indiana Jones movie.
He's not.
Is Spielberg your guy?
He's not. Yeah. He's not confirmed yet. He's
not confirmed.
He said, "I would love to do one," but they haven't confirmed.
He got the Ready Player One thing.
That was the other
one thing. I would say yes. That was big news too.
So Ready Player One would get me 1 point for Steven Spielberg, unless if the league votes accordingly, and if he gets confirmed as Indiana Jones, the next film, I would assume that would be something worthy of a point as well.
He wants to do it with Chris Pratt.
We can get those points together.
Oh God, you guys are about to start docking. So gross.
Chris Pratt he's the white Samuel Jackson. The guy is up for every movie ever.
The white Samuel Jackson. That's funny.
I heard it's for the Ghostbusters thing. So it's like none of these are confirmed, but when they said, "Oh, we're making a male Ghostbusters too," his name was ballied about as well.
Spielberg?
No, Chris Pratt.
Oh, Chris Pratt. Oh, Jesus.
Jairo, what were some of the other ones that you were thinking of that you wanted to bring up possibly?
As far as directors and stuff, or?
Well, just any casting things. Did you have any?
Yeah, I've got a bunch. I've got Jeremy Renner was just announced for the Bourne sequel. I mean, I don't know how that counts.
Is it confirmed?
Yeah, it's confirmed that him and Matt Damon are going to share the screen.
That's been rumored forever.
It's
that they would have that they eventually would appear in the movie together. It's been something that I've been waiting for to see in that franchise. So I think everything that we have.
Does that qualify as like the Avengers thing? Because he signed a 2-picture deal when he did Bourne Legacy.
Ah, did he really?
I believe so. Because he was supposed to take over that franchise, and then Matt Damon was like, "No, I'm coming."
So see, this is the category that'll lead to all kinds of fun debates and ongoing yays or nays for these. What were some of your other ones?
I had this was pretty new. Kurt Russell was just cast in the Deepwater Horizon movie. That's the BP oil spill thing that has Marky Mark in it. That's pretty recent.
Okay.
Jesse Owens and the Anthony Mackie thing. That is, if that's not recent, it's almost done. So,
is he directing? Who's directing that? Is that like a big director doing that?
I'm not really positive. I just saw Anthony Mackie, and then he's championing the film. Then Vincent D'Onofrio cast in Purgatory, and that was just something I just kind of found. And Colin Trevorrow, the director, that he just actually, I sent you guys the article just now. So Book of Henry is the one that was announced about 2 weeks ago, and then Intelligent Life 2 weeks before that. So his next 2 movies were just announced. So
gotcha. So this is kind of the stuff we're looking for from all the different league members, to put together all the different, just have your own little spreadsheet or your own little Word doc or whatever throughout the year. And, if somebody gets announced that you want them to consider, just throw their name down. And what we'll do is we'll put them all up there with confirmation that it's within the right time frame. And then the league will just have to vote whether it's a major casting or not. But like we kind of talked about, if they're already signed on for an 8-picture, 9-picture deal and it just hasn't been determined which movies those are, that doesn't count. So if you're already signed for a 6-picture Marvel deal and we just don't know which Marvel films you're going to be cast in, that's not a casting.
Yeah.
That's just a choice of which ones you're going to appear in. So those would not count. But if it's like a sequel that we didn't know was going to happen, like we're talking about with the Mad Max films, then that does count.
Right.
But you're not going to get credit for the next 5 films. You're going to get credit for that fact
that announcement.
Yeah. Right.
So I got a few in there, man. So we'll see how that pans out. I think a couple of them are solid, very solid, like the Deepwater and the 2 director films are pretty solid. Purgatory, I don't know how big that is.
Right, and that's the thing. It doesn't hurt you putting all these things out there. The worst that can happen is the league votes no.
Yeah, and then I can tell them all to kiss my ass for cheating.
And we know certain people will get all voted no for no reason. Tim throws one out there. The league votes no.
Tim.
We voted yes for the Blade Runner thing. That's
yeah, we did. I'm just kidding. But any other thoughts on the casting aspect, DJ?
No, I'm down with that. I really think we should take it. When Jairo was bringing up the producer stuff, I want to do the and the director getting the news. The director getting cast to do a movie is just as big as an actor.
Right,
I agree.
To me. So
I agree that too. And so far, we've only had one director that's gone this year so far that's had their film dropped, because we each have one director on our team, and that'll be something we can debate for next year too. Is how many actors, how many directors, etc. That type of thing. But for this year, everybody got one director, and so far only one director has had their film come out, and that of course was the Furious 7 director who was on the War Machine
James Wan
team. So James Wan got him an extra 7 points for his director coming out.
That's a great choice.
So we'll have to see how everybody's director, if they all are that successful or not. So right now he's obviously the top point earner for directors.
Wait a minute. He's also in talks for Aquaman, I think.
So that would be
He's in talks, though. It's not confirmed, but I saw his name balloted about last week about Aquaman.
So damn it, Hollywood, confirm some of these things. We need Idris Elba as the next villain in Star Trek, because he can't keep getting me negative points as my number 1 draft pick.
You got Avengers coming up. He's supposed to be Heimdall in Avengers, so you get.
That's true.
You're going to get some points.
Yeah, right now Haley Atwell is my best earning person because she was in Cinderella. So
Haley Atwell. Oof.
And she'll be in Avengers too, and Ant-Man, so that'll help
you. Got a double deal right there.
God, Ant-Man looks so stupid.
The trailer's supposed to be tomorrow, and I hear it's supposed to be good because the first one was awful. So, hopefully, fingers crossed.
So if you guys are watching the website here, or the listeners can check in, if you go to geekcastradio.com, there's a big banner up at the top of the page for the Fantasy League, and you click on that, it'll show you who's on all of our teams. So if you just want to know who's on each person's team, you can look at that. It'll also have the standings, who's in first all the way through me in last, and then you can click on the actual people's names in the standings or somewhere on there, and it'll actually bring up the whole breakdown of which actors are earning what kind of points for the thing. So you can kind of keep track there too. I try to update that every about 2 weeks or so.
Holy catastrophe!
I didn't think it was physically possible, but this both sucks and blows. That's all, folks!
Get your minds right.
He ain't playing no games today.
No, sir. No, sir.
Not at all.
I'm in here. I'm ready to defend myself. No.
The trial of Jairo.
The trial of Diesel Ramos.
I do, and I knew this was going to happen. I was kind of bummed that I wasn't able to be at the draft because I had so much stuff to say, and it's funny because I took advantage of a loophole.
It was almost funnier though you not being there, just because all of us were trying to figure out what the
you
heck
even
was going on.
In the sound effects while calling me a retard. That shit was awesome.
I had to spice it up a little bit. And I was the one reading your names, and I'm like, am I retarded that I don't know these people? Like, have I been sleeping under a rock? But then everybody else was like, who are they? So I'm like, okay, good.
Sorry, I'm drinking my beer here.
I'm also drinking my lemonade Rita.
He's getting tropical on us.
Switching it up, though. Not
At least I have my shirt on. DJ and I recorded last night with
we're on the buff
for the show.
We're on the buff yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't think you had a shirt on when I recorded with you guys either.
I think I took it off mid-show.
He's a tease, that guy. This is a big cock tease.